Disease manifests because there is a distortion, there is some kind of disruption in the energy field or in the body. And that could be a faulty diet, or a poor diet. There's a lot of junk food, or it could be toxins or chemicals, or it can be stressed, or it can be trapped emotion. It could be whatever it is. Even if it's something physical, it's still energy, and it's still disrupting on an energetic level in the body.
Welcome to Reclamation, the podcast where conversations meet practical insights, guiding you through the maze of behavioral science to empower better public health outcomes. With a passion for bridging the gap between medicine, psychology, and sociology, Tabo brings a unique perspective to every episode. Get ready to reclaim your understanding of health and behavior. This is Reclamation.
Welcome to another episode of Reclamation Podcast. You know how we really struggle with eating and staying healthy and having balanced meals. So today I have with me an expert, I would say, nutritional expert, maybe. I don't know. She'll actually tell us what she is, but she's somebody who is so passionate about nutrition, wellness, and medicine in general. And I'm so happy to have her here. She's Kim Otteby, the founder, the director of Umoyo Natural Health. Welcome on the show. So good to finally have you.
Thank you so much, Tabu. It's I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yes. So tell us, nutrition, like why nutrition? Why does that matter to you?
I've always been interested in nutrition. Early on in my life, I didn't allow myself to explore it because I thought, well, that's not a proper job, So I went and did economics and management instead at university and worked as a strategy consultant. But deep down, my passion was always nutrition and health, natural health in particular. So after a while, I actually went back to university and studied nutritional medicine. And since then, I have also done so many other modalities within natural health and healing.
Oh, okay. So what is nutritional medicine? Because I know a lot of us might not be aware of that. For a listener wondering, they've never heard of anyone say they're studying that.
Well, nutrition is so much more than just food, and we use food for so many different things, right? Yes, a lot of people think, I just need to fill my belly, or we're using food to celebrate something, celebrate a birthday, or we use food to suppress emotions, or we use food in so many different ways. But food is actually medicine. It's like Hippocrates said, that food be thy medicine. Yeah. And we forget that it has all these healing properties as well to it. It's the foundation of a lot of our physical health.
That is true, because actually a lot of our pharmacological medication that we use, the commercial one, stems from the natural, organic, correct me if I'm wrong, but the plants and things that are found in nature.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. But nutrition is that foundation. It's providing your body with all the building blocks that it needs. Obviously, things like fats and carbohydrates and protein, the macronutrients. But in addition to that, you also have all the micronutrients, these smaller things like vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, all the phytonutrients that you find in plants and so on, that are essential for the proper functioning of the body, essential for producing hormones or chemical reactions that happen in the body. So it's the foundation. If you don't have that, it doesn't matter all these medicinal qualities, whether it's from the food or from herbs or for pharmaceuticals. There's only so much they can do if you don't have that foundation.
So I'm wondering, just out of curiosity, so if we had an ideal situation where we have all the nutrients our body could get in the perfect level and perfect amounts, do you think we'd be able to avoid a lot of the diseases we see nowadays, the common ones?
100%. It's a very, very strong element to that, because a lot of the diseases that we see today are chronic illnesses. These are not infectious diseases anymore, right?
Yes,
like
true.
hypertension or diabetes. These are caused by diet and lifestyle factors. And all these chronic diseases have one thing in common, and that is inflammation. And inflammation in our body is very much dependent on what we're eating. However, I will say this, that health is, you know, a lot of the time, especially when we're looking at nutrition, we're looking at very physical things. And when we talk about health, a lot of the time we talk about physical health. Okay, diabetes, it's something to do with the physical body. Hypertension is something to do with the physical body. But we are not just our physical body.
We're much more than that.
We are so much more than that. And sometimes the challenge is that we approach it purely from a physical
point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that works because, for instance, nutrition is very powerful and we can do a lot of good there. But if we want to speed up the process and get full healing, full health, optimize our health, we got to look at ourselves as the total being that we actually are, which is, yes, the physical health, but also the emotional health, the mental health, spiritual health. And when we bring that together, that's when we can really talk about true health. Yes. Because you can look at something purely from the physical view, but perhaps, and you can do everything right. You know, I'm sure you've heard of people who've like, can't believe she got cancer. I mean, she was so healthy.
She ate everything. She exercised.
Exactly. She did everything right. She exercised. She ate right.
well.
She managed her stress, all these things. But how could she get sick?
Yeah.
Well, we have to then look at other factors. Perhaps it was on an emotional level. Perhaps there was a lot of resentment that hadn't been dealt with in the body, you know. That would affect you on a physical level as well. And that's why I'm saying you got to look at the totality of who we are as human beings.
Wow, that's actually, I think it's a perspective a lot of us don't actually think of, and that's very insightful.
Yeah, because I have a headache. My head hurts. Oh, I take a tablet for my headache. And we don't go beneath the surface.
Root cause to say, okay, where is this actually stemming from?
Exactly.
How can I nip it in the bud before it actually...
Going to the root cause, but not just the physical root cause. There may be other factors on a more mental, emotional level as well that we should consider.
Okay. Yeah. So listening to your explanation, I'm wondering, would you say you're more of a holistic advocate when you look at holistic health of a person? Would you identify as that?
Yes, absolutely. I recognize the importance of looking at the body in the body and the mind and emotion, spiritual aspect in its totality, because also this more and more science is showing us that quantum physics in particular, we're energy, right?
Yeah.
Everything is energy. This desk here, it's energy. My body, it's just energy vibrating at different frequencies. So and everything happens on an energetic level before we see it as something physical. So we can actually influence things quicker if we go to the energy part of it, you know? And if we look at how does disease manifest? Disease manifests because there is a distortion, there is some kind of disruption in the energy field or in the body. And that could be a faulty diet, or a poor diet. There's a lot of junk food, or it can be toxins or chemicals, or it can be stressed, or it can be trapped emotion. It could be whatever it is. Even if it's something physical, it's still energy, and it's still disrupting on an energetic level in the body. So let's say you have eaten a lot of junk food, or you have a toxin in your body, a chemical perhaps. Maybe it's a food additive. Now, if that is in your body, it will have its own unique energy vibration. And that then affects the optimal vibration of your body. And that will distort then perhaps the operations of certain things or organs in your body. And therefore, your body will not then be able to operate optimally. So the way to really look at health and healing is that we want to remove all that disruption. We want to remove all that distortion so that the body can go and do what the body does best, and that's heal itself, you know? But because we eat all these crappy foods and we have so much stress and we carry a lot of negativity, when we focus on all the negative stuff and whatever it may be, we make it so difficult for our body to heal itself or to be be healthy. We're putting all these spanners in the work,
Wow.
So really it starts with removing all these disruptions that make it so difficult for the body to just be naturally healthy, be naturally strong. That's our natural state of being. So healing and overcoming illness is really aligning ourselves back to our blueprint, which is health. Yeah, we are meant to be healthy.
As somebody coming from a background of clinical medicine, I actually love your explanation right now. You have broken down pathology for me right now. And I really wish somebody had started with that the very first day of class and explained so much about how the disruption of the body function actually causes disease.
Well, if you look at how does healing happen in the body, if you break your arm, okay, we can go to the doctor and we set the arm, but who does the healing?
Yeah.
Does the doctor do the healing? No. And it's the body heals itself. It knows what to do. We just have to create an environment
for it to flourish and do its best.
Exactly. And that is true for whatever type of medicine you practice.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. And going back, you talked about, for example, taking something with preservatives or additives. I know how Umoyo is known for natural foods. What are some of the benefits of just having foods in their natural form as compared to the processed and the,
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, how did God intend our foods to be? It's how we find it in its natural form. That's when it's going to be at its healthiest. So what happens when we start processing food? Firstly, what happens is that we start removing a lot of elements in the food that we need, that are good for us. So if we're looking at when we process corn into milli meal, we remove a lot of the fiber. And when we do that, we also remove a lot of the minerals. Now we don't get that in our diet,
Yeah.
When we eat in Shiba, I mean, that's such a big part of our diet. And now we've removed so
much
of the healthy elements. If we look at other processed foods, so we've removed some of the good stuff, but then the actual processing will actually destroy whatever good is still in there. So for instance, if that processing applies a lot of heat, that heat will destroy a lot of the vitamins.
Yeah.
It can denature some of the protein. Heat also damages a lot of the antioxidants, these phytonutrients that occur in plant-based foods. Heat will destroy that. So the more something is processed, the more we also destroy what is left in the food. And then, like that wasn't enough, because the processing will reduce the taste, the appeal of the food. And food manufacturers, of course, want you to buy this food. Yeah.
Stay in business.
Absolutely. So what do? They add things to make it tastier. And the three things that make it super tasty, it's sugar, salt, and fat.
Oh, yeah, fat.
Yeah, fat. And not good fat, not the good quality stuff, the cheap stuff, like hydrogenated vegetable oils. So you're getting so much more sugar and salt and these bad fats in the food. And then, of course, we want the food to look good. So we add colorings, artificial colorings, artificial flavorings, and all sorts of preservatives as well. So we are removing the good stuff. We are destroying whatever's left in there. And then we're adding bad stuff. And then we're surprised that this food is causing the body to deteriorate. And once again, the body is such an incredible thing that it is so resilient. And that is why it can take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years before you see symptoms, because the body is always working so hard, tirelessly to keep you healthy.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because my next question was going to be so what? Because a lot of people we take a lot of the processed foods with the additives and all that, but I'm still good. Yeah. I'm okay.
Yeah, but you're still young, so things are going on in your body. That distortion, that disruption may be happening, but your body is dealing with it. But accumulative, there's only so much the body can handle, right? And remember, we can look at health as a continuum.
Yeah.
One side of that continuum, you're diagnosed with an illness. And then the other side, let's say optimum health. But then there's a whole continuum between those 2 points, right? So you might be somewhere in the middle. Okay, let's say I've been feeling a little bit down. I don't have that great energy lately, and maybe I have a headache. So I go to the doctor and I say, hey, something is wrong. I'm not feeling 100%. Please just test me. They do every imaginable test under the sun, and they come back to me and they say, hey, Kim, you're perfectly fine. Our test shows exactly there's nothing wrong with you. But then hang on a moment, I'm still not feeling great, right? Yeah. So just because you haven't been diagnosed with a illness, a label, a disease,
it's absent,
doesn't mean that you're healthy. And you got to ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to live? I mean, I would prefer to live a life where I have energy and vitality and where my mind is at peace and I have calm and so on, and where I'm positive and I focus on the positive.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of life, where are you? So that's what you kind of have to ask yourself. But the problem is, of course, that when we are younger, we think we're invincible. We think we're going to feel like this for our whole life.
It's pretty much going to catch up with a lot of us if we do that, eh?
Yes, and that's what happens. That's what tends to happen. And that's why these chronic illnesses are becoming more and more prevalent as well, because our diet is deteriorating and we are living with much more stress in our lives. Our lifestyles are generally deteriorating. Yeah. We're not exercising enough and so on and so on.
So it's actually interesting you say that, because now when I'm looking back at what I've always been taught and known, I'm looking at epidemiology and how we are generally taught to say the risk factors of some non-communicable diseases are people over the ages of 50 and 60. So that is probably a risk factor because of what you had been doing in the past.
Exactly. It's not just because decades. You turned 50 suddenly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
But then that is how it's made to seem when they are telling us about these risk factors of something, to say, oh, go get checked, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, like, oh yeah, 50, 60, start getting checked. But we're not doing a lot of preventive medicine.
And it's not necessary. It's not, you don't have to get ill. You don't have to suffer from these diseases. It's completely within your control. But a lot of us don't want to accept that responsibility. We prefer to just live however we want. And then when we get sick, now suddenly it's the doctor's responsibility. I'm going to go to the doctor. He's going to give me a pill, or he's going to do some miraculous surgery or whatever. And I'm going to be cured. Yeah. We want that quick fix and we don't take responsibility. And so a lot of it, if we want to be healthy, we have to take on that responsibility, and we have to recognize and be interested in how our choices actually affect our health, because they do. And you're making those choices every single day.
And one thing I always keep saying, even in the previous episodes, is how I'm guessing a lot of our habits that we keep indulging in and fail to stop, it's because we're not actually seeing the repercussions right there and then, as you have explained with the eating healthy from the get-go. The repercussions of not doing that is something that you only manifest in the next 30, 40 years from now. So you don't really have that intrinsic motivation to keep going.
Yes, in terms of disease, but you can still feel it. I don't know if you've ever experienced a very simple example would be you drink a little bit too much alcohol. Yeah. How do you feel the next day? It's going to affect you. The same could happen if you eat a little bit too much sugar. You're going to feel it. Or if you don't get enough sleep, or if you're very stressed, you'll even feel it the very next day. But when we are living like that all the time, we forget. We don't remember how good we can actually feel. Yeah. We accept what has become our norm. So that's another problem there, And then with a lot of the food substances, they are quite addictive. And we have it's become habit now that we eat them. Yeah. And we then justify it. Oh, but everyone around me is eating these kind of foods. Surely it's okay for me to eat them as well. Everyone takes soft drinks. Surely, why shouldn't I be able to take a soft drink? Without really thinking, what is it that I'm actually consuming here? And how does it actually affect my body?
Okay, that's interesting. But I'm wondering, there might be a listener who's like, okay, I hear you, Kim, but eating healthy is so much work. Because it's so much easier to get the processed foods and the day goes by and you live another day. And I'm just wondering, how would you be able to convince a person like that who strongly believes it's so hard to get the raw food, the organic food, and reap the full benefits when
I hear you.
Our life schedules just become so hectic.
No, I hear you. And we have to also examine our beliefs around this. For whatever reason, we've been programmed to think that, no, eating healthy, that's tough. You got to suffer.
Yeah.
I don't want to suffer. I want to enjoy life. Let me, so let me have that cake or whatever, I had a lot of limiting beliefs around, in order to celebrate things like birthdays, I need cake. That's part of it. Where did that belief come from?
We never question those thoughts.
Exactly. But the thing is also that it's not one or the other necessarily. Generally speaking, what really matters is what you do 80% of the time. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to have the perfect diet. Yeah, that will be probably quite challenging. But what are you doing 80% of the time? And whatever choices you have in front of you, are you making the healthier choice? It might not be the healthiest,
but it's the better option.
Exactly. So you always have choice in every moment. And what I find is when we start making slightly healthier choices, that helps us, that kind of builds that muscle. That helps us then make healthier choices going forward. And then you start feeling better. And then you start wanting to make healthier choices. Exactly. So for instance, for like me, I move my body a lot. I do exercise because I feel good. It's not a chore. I'm not forcing myself to do it. I want to do it. I look forward to doing it because I know how good it makes me feel. And it has all these then knock-on effects. When I feel good physically, I want to continue that feeling. I am more likely to make good, healthy food choices. Compare that to I've been out a night and had alcohol and feeling really terrible the next day. Am I going to make very good food choices, healthy choices? Probably not, right? So it's like that positive reinforcing spiral, but you can also get into that negative reinforcing spiral going the opposite direction.
Oh. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, that's very good to know. So what about the people who use food as a coping? Because I think our relationship with food is different on an individual level. I know there's the whole psychology behind that. But I'm wondering, for people who have found themselves in a space where they use food as comfort.
Yeah, it's very common. I've done it a lot in my life as well. I mean, this is such a common thing because it's such an easy thing. It's widely available, So it's with anything like that, the first thing is awareness. You have to have an awareness of what you're actually doing and what it is you're trying to escape from. And it's, that uncomfortable emotion. You might not even know what the emotion actually is, but there might just be an uncomfortableness there. And the thing with that is that you have to learn to sit with that uncomfortable feeling, with that uncomfortable emotion, and allow it to pass through you. Because what you're doing when you're taking the food is that you are pushing it away. You are suppressing that emotion. You're not allowing that emotion to flow. And whenever you're not allowing something to flow and you're suppressing it, that's when you run into problems. And that's when those emotions get trapped in our body as well, even on a biochemical level, not just on an energetic level, and they affect us on the physical. So what you need to learn to do is face that uncomfortableness, right? So when you feel like you have to just get into the kitchen, you have to eat something. Just pause and just sit with it and just see how you feel. And that is so powerful because when you learn to do that, you also realize, okay, I didn't die. Yeah. It might feel like it, but I didn't die. I was able to go through this. Yeah. So it's learning to sit with those emotions. And it's not just food that we use to deal with our emotions. Yeah. It could be anything really. Addicted to our phones or watching trashy television or binge watching
comfort show.
Netflix or alcohol or whatever it is. We have our own ways of doing it. So for anybody listening, maybe it's not food for you specifically. For me, it was sugar. It might be something else. But it's when you get that urge, it's sitting with it. and allowing, like I said, those emotions to flow through you. And also realizing that you are not the emotion. You are not your thoughts, taking a step back from it, becoming an observer, noticing what is happening, like with a curious mind. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling like this. And, so taking a step back so that you don't identify so much with that emotion or that thought pattern, because it ain't you. It's not you.
Definitely isn't.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good, because that's similar to what I tell a lot of my clients in therapy as well. So it's good to hear that we can actually use those techniques and life skills into other aspects of our lives as well.
Yeah, and maybe in the beginning, it distracting yourself with other things also helps. Ultimately, you have to sit with your emotions. You have to learn how to do that. But in the meantime, as you're learning to do that,
it's a process. You start with the small, because I always advise my clients, start with the smaller emotions and then build up. Try to sit with the small ones, and eventually you'll be able to sit through the harder emotions that you.
But let's say you're a binge eater. You eat a lot of a large quantity of food at a time. Then yes, sitting with emotions, but you might not be doing that very well from day one, right? So you can also have other coping mechanisms that are more positive. So you can distract yourself, go take a cold shower, call a friend, start journaling. Have a few things that you can do to distract yourself, and then perhaps also help you bring attention to what's actually going on. Because a lot of people, when they have these uncomfortable feelings and things, they don't know why or where or how it can come out of nowhere. So also bringing some attention and mindfulness to that to try and uncover it. But it all starts with awareness.
Yeah, it does. Like once you know, then you can actually work towards it. So now I'm wondering, a lot of us are raising children, and sometimes the children are not in control of what they eat. We, the adults, have the knowledge and can actually work towards the knowledge to achieve the goal that we want to do when it comes to eating healthy and staying healthy. But then with children, how do you do that? Because I just noticed that you have an organization that is actually targeted on nutrition benefits for children and trying to help as many Zambian children as possible to eat healthy. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, so absolutely. And I think it's such a big question, and there are kind of two aspects to it. One is like, okay, I've got children. What do I do with my children? When they want sugar, what do I do with them? So that's one aspect. But then you have the aspect of, underprivileged kids here in Zambia who just don't get quality nutrition. And it affects you on such a profound level, mentally, cognitive, your ability to reason and think and for the brain to develop properly, as well as also your physical body, how your physical body develops. I mean, stunting is a huge problem.
It is.
Yeah, physically and cognitively in the mind, right? And it's so important, therefore, that kids are getting the nutrition that they actually need, fundamentally need, that foundation so that the body can grow and thrive, and so that they really can fulfill their potential as they grow. So Nutrition Tandizo, it was an initiative started through Umoyo, actually, because we developed the most incredible porridge. It's off the charts when it comes to nutrition. We put 4 whole grains in there. Okay. And usually porridge here, it will have 1 grain or 2 grains. So we put soya, sorghum, millet, and maize.
Oh, okay.
And then because you see, each plant or each food has its own nutritional profile. And they're all different. So the more foods you combine, the wider that nutritional profile. And that's why we put 4 grains in there. And then we took Zambia's 2 superfoods, moringa and baobab, both super nutritious, highly nutritious, and we put that in there. And then we also, just to be sure, fortified the porridge with 17 vitamins and minerals. So in terms of nutrition, it's just such a powerhouse. So it gives you all the macro nutrients that you need, as well as all those micronutrients. So when a kid eats up a bowl of this porridge, you know that they're getting everything that they need that day nutritionally. It's not going to be enough in terms of calories for the day, but at least nutritionally, they're getting what they need. Yeah. But so we developed this porridge at Umoyo, and you can buy it in any supermarket these days. Okay. But of course, it wouldn't reach the really underprivileged. You know, some kids in some schools and perhaps orphanages as well. And that's why we started Nutrition Tandizo, a not-for-profit organization, where we deliver this porridge in 25-kilo bags to some of these organizations and institutions. And we're actively looking for people who are interested to support it and come in and help us with this initiative, perhaps through sponsorship. So if there's a organization out there who want to maybe take on a school, then we can supply this highly, highly nutritious porridge to make sure that nutritionally these kids get everything that they need.
That is very important work you're doing. Very, very important. Like, thank you for doing that. Like, so much. We need that. And I hope more people are also pushed and inspired to actually do that, because I think we look at empowering children and the future generation and concentrate on the school, but we don't look to say, okay, you take them to school, you're sending them to school, but then what are they taking in?
And I'm sure you know yourself, if you haven't eaten or you haven't eaten proper food, if you haven't gotten yourself what you need, are you going to be able to concentrate?
No.
Are you going to be able to assimilate all that information that they're teaching you in school? No, you're not, you know. We in this life, we have this physical body, and we have no choice but to look after this physical body. That is the foundation.
Wow, beautiful. So for someone who's wondering, how can they get the porridge? Like, if they are within the urban...
just reach out to Umoyo. Reach out to Umoyo, or you can go online to nutritiontandizo.com. But reach out to Umoyo, and we'll put you in touch with the right person.
Wow. Thank you so much. So how, any social medias? Actually, before we get there, is there any question you wish I had asked?
No, one kind of top tip for someone who might be listening and thinking, you know what, I need to sort myself out, like health-wise, is I would just say, don't try and do everything at once. Yeah. Really don't. And we get so excited. We're like, okay, this is it.
Yeah, high on the motivation.
Especially if it's New Year's Eve, you know? Yeah. We want to do everything. We want to change our diet. We're going to cut the alcohol. We're going to stop smoking. We're going to cut the sugar. And we're going to start exercising. And we're going to start whatever it is, you know? But when we try and do too much at once, it becomes a little bit overwhelming. And it's so much better to just focus on one thing. And the more we do that one thing, it becomes a habit. And then after a while, it just becomes who we are. Now it's just like, we're just not, I identify as a person who doesn't drink soft drinks. It's just who I am, you know? It has become part of my identity. And the thing with identity is that once something becomes part of your identity, it is very important to us to stay true to who we believe we are. So I would recommend just take one thing at a time. Identify perhaps what is the thing that maybe has the greatest negative impact in your life at the moment. Identify what that is. Is it alcohol? Yeah. Is it the sugar consumption? Is it that you're smoking? Is it perhaps that you have a lot of stress? Or is it that you have a lot of negativity around you? Yeah. Or maybe it's that you currently don't feel that you have a purpose in your life. Whatever it is, start with that, right? Don't try and do everything at once. Don't try and be Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, you know? One step at a time.
Yeah. And the thing is, once you fail and struggle while you're trying to be everything and be a superhero, the chances of you having the motivation to want to try again is just, it's harder because of your history of failure.
And I'm sure I certainly have done this. Maybe, I don't know if you can relate to this, but like I'll say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have this incredibly healthy diet. I'm not going to eat sugar. Yeah. And then on day 2, I eat sugar. I'm like, well, I might as well give up now. I've failed.
Yes. And that's how a lot of us keep going back. You make 2 steps forward and you're 1 step back.
Okay, I'll start next Monday instead. Next Monday.
Somehow want it to be perfect. Like, okay, I'll start on the 1st of the next month.
Yeah, even that. Yeah. So be kind to yourself as well. Perfection is just, it's never going to happen. So be kind. Know that there are going to be some setbacks, and just take 1 step at a time. And as long as you're moving in the right direction, you're doing really, really well.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think it's a conversation a lot of people do not really have. We just, eat healthy, but we don't actually talk about the root cause of why are people eating the way they are and what are the benefits of actually eating healthy. So I'm glad you took the time to come here and share this very important message with us. And how can people find you if they're listening to this conversation, they love what they heard and they would like to connect, have a conversation, work with you?
Yeah, no, and thank you for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure. So obviously Umoyo Natural Health, and you can find Umoyo on all social media platforms, and please visit our shops. And, we have so many beautiful, healthy, quality, natural products now that you can also find in all the supermarkets across Zambia. Our different drinks, baobab juice, red passion, immuno boost, our porridge we were talking about, our peanut butter and so on. And now all our herbal teas, which I'm so proud of. So obviously Umoyo, but also, I am passionate in my own right as an individual when it comes to talking about mindset and overcoming limiting beliefs and how we can really fulfill our potential. So if anyone is more interested in that kind of things, then just find me on social media, Kim Otteby. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, Kim Otteby. And if you don't know how to spell that,
I'll definitely share the link on the show notes, but yes.
Yeah. Or just Google Kim and Umoyo and my last name.
And it should definitely show up. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So that was Kim Otteby, the founder and director of Umoyo Natural Health. We had a very lovely conversation. We looked at the importance of eating healthy, even if you think you might not reap the benefits immediately. And overall, she wrapped up by talking about how it's important to make any small progress. Start small, build up, and you actually get there. Messy progress, as I always say. It's progress, even if it's messy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time. Thank you for joining me till the very end. In the world of behavioral science, every ending is just the beginning of something new. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned for more adventures in behavioral science as we continue our journey towards a healthier, more informed decision making. Until then, stay curious, stay vigilant, stay healthy. This is Tabo Lukato Hadunka signing off from Reclamation.